It came on a Tuesday, not a Monday when the weight of the week ahead crushes you, not a Friday when the empty weekend yawns threateningly. A Tuesday, grey, unremarkable, the kind of day that normally passes through you like water. I found my sister in the kitchen, not in the chair. The kitchen. She was standing at the sink, not washing anything, just standing there, her hands resting on the edge of the counter, like she was relearning how gravity worked. She was wearing one of Dad's old cardigans, the navy one with the frayed elbow. It swallowed her. She'd been swimming in their clothes for weeks, borrowing their warmth, hoarding their scent like oxygen. I didn't say anything. I just stood in the doorway, afraid that if I moved too fast, the spell would break, and she'd drift back to that chair, back to the staring. But she turned, slowly, and she didn't look at me, she looked at the window. "It's raining," she said. Her voice was rust. 3 weeks of silence had corroded the edges, but it was there. Sound. Intention. "Yeah," I said. She turned on the faucet. Just a thin stream. She put her hands under it, let the water run over her fingers. Then she reached for the coffee maker, the one Mom had used every morning, religiously, the one we'd all been too terrified to touch because it still smelled like her grounds and routine. My heart stopped. She opened the cabinet. She took out the filters. Not the fancy ones Mom saved for company, but the everyday basket filters. The cheap white ones, the ones that meant life, not ceremony. She didn't look at me when she said, "I think the plant is dying." I looked. The pothos on the windowsill, Mom's champion, older than some of the grandchildren, was indeed wilting, yellowing at the edges. We'd been watering everything else. The lawn, the grief, ourselves with whiskey, but we'd forgotten the living things that needed consistency. "We should." My sister's throat clicked. She swallowed. "We should probably water it." That was it. That was the step. Not a breakthrough. Not a moment of divine clarity where the pain lifted, and we saw their faces in the clouds smiling down. Just a plant, and a decision to not let it die. I moved then. Carefully, I got the watering can from under the sink, the one with the dent where Dad had dropped it trying to fix the garbage disposal. It felt heavier than it should have. Everything did. I filled it. My sister watched the water line rise, her arms crossed tight against her ribs, holding herself together but standing, actually standing without the chair to anchor her. I handed it to her. She took it. Both hands. She watered the plant. The water hit the dry soil and hissed. A little sound of relief, of thirst being answered. Some of it spilled onto the windowsill, pooled there, reflecting the grey Tuesday light. She didn't cry. I didn't cry. We just watched the water sink in, darkening the earth, waking up roots that had been waiting, dormant, patient in a way we didn't know how to be yet. Mom would have. My sister stopped, closed her mouth, opened it again. She'd be mad we let it get this dry. And then it wasn't a laugh, not really. More like an exhale that curved upward at the end. A sob's ghost. But it was enough. I reached out. I took her hand, the one not holding the can. Her fingers were cold, shaking, but they locked around mine with that same desperate grip from before. Only now it felt less like falling apart and more like holding on. We stood there, watching the plant drink, listening to the rain outside match the rhythm of the water dripping through the drainage holes. We didn't talk about what came next, didn't plan the next funeral detail, didn't sort the estate, didn't do any of the work of grief that the world demands. We just stood there, holding hands, being cold and alive and together. Later, we'd find out that the plant would live. It would push out new growth in a month, impossibly green, stubbornly optimistic. Later, we'd start clearing closets, start answering phones, start saying their names without choking. But that Tuesday, we just watered a dying thing and decided not to let it go. It wasn't healing, but it was the first time we chose life when death had offered us such a compelling alternative. And sometimes, that choice made in a kitchen, in yesterday's clothes, with dirty hair and empty stomachs, that choice is the only miracle that matters.